YouTube. And so, bear with me while I get used to it, because it's taking a little while to get used to how YouTube lives go. So, yes, as we get going, we learn more. Oh, it'll get better, hopefully. Okay, so I've partnered up with Derek Borne, not partnered, but he came into my TikTok live and was telling me about his book, and so I actually got his first 2 books. There's the Dino Rift and the Sarah Corpse Salvation. And so we're going to be reading his first book, which is this one. It's Dino Rift, and he allowed me to read it for my podcast series, Bedtime Stories for All. So we're going to be going through this, and I will also, yes, I'm here now. And I'm also recording this so that I'll be able to edit it down for people who just want to hear the story being told, versus any of like this extra stuff. So this is just a live thing, like a little bonus feature for anybody who comes in live and watches it. Yes, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 mark as well. And so, yeah, we're going to be reading Dino Rift, and in the description, it should be in the description, the link to my Amazon storefront where you can purchase these books for yourself. So, we're going to go ahead and start reading this, and I'll just kind of give you a little bit of the information on the back of the book, just to kind of give you a little summary. So, The Rift, a gateway to a prehistoric world. For years, Sora Corpse has kept its existence confidential while touting themselves as a run-of-the-mill dinosaur museum. For 2 Utah teens, Cameron and Vivian, a carefree night to themselves quickly turns into a daunting trek through an exotic, unfamiliar time. Not only do they stumble upon Sora Corpse's nefarious agenda, they also encounter major discrepancies concerning the past that would rewrite history books as we know them. Cam and Viv's reliance on each other through the primeval environment also tests their friendship in unexpected ways. Will they survive and make it home together? So for the lives, I'm going to just read as long as I can, but I will be breaking them down for the actual recorded podcast episodes. Yeah, most likely something between 40 minutes and 90 minutes. Yeah, we're going to go for a while for the lives. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. All right, so. And this is the book cover, like the one. Oh, I have it on there. All right, so we're good. That does sound a bit like Land of the Lost. Yeah, right? Yeah, so I'm really excited. We'll see. I haven't read it at all yet because I wanted to. I don't know. I thought about maybe if I should read ahead, just to make sure, but it's fine. This is how I don't plan. I don't plan things. Okay. So, chapter 1. Copy that. We're armed and ready. At 9 o'clock in the evening, 2 boys in blue careened past pulled-over cars and sped through stoplights. In the driver's seat, the police chief scarfed down half a burger. Dinner was always a rush when on the clock. We may be armed, but are we ready? The rookie, just over a month into the job, shoved the last few of his fries in his mouth. Chief, if this is really what they're saying it is, shouldn't we call in an ACU or something? We'll have to assess the situation first. After turning a corner and 2 bites later, the chief licked burger remains from his fingers. Probably just an overgrown iguana. A few minutes later, they arrived at the address of the disturbance, in a rural area on the outskirts of town. A white 2-story farmhouse sat at the end of a long dirt driveway. A pair of A pair of fire trucks had congregated with 4 other police cars, which had all pulled off to the sides of the entryway. No one had left the safety of their vehicles but kept their wary eyes focused on the home. The closest officers kept a cautious 50-foot gap from the residents. Didn't think most of the police force would be afraid of an overgrown iguana. The rookie smirked as he placed a hand on the door, handled once they parked. The rookie smirked as he placed a hand on the door handle once they'd part. When you picked me up, all you called it was an unusual animal disturbance. Caller was the neighbor. The chief checked over his weapon and protective vest. Claimed that this guy has been trespassing on the neighbor's property. Had some kind of large pet with him. The description didn't check out, though. The young rookie, barely in his 20s, gave his superior an odd glance. Large pets are a cause for complaint? The skeptical chief chuckled. They are when they've reported to have attacked. A quick, silent prayer later, the rookie exited the vehicle a second behind the chief. Waves of interchanging blue and red from the multiple squad cars silently lit up the area, bathing the house's siding in their kaleidoscope of color, setting an even stranger mood to the location. As the two men closed in on the building, the rest of their squad finally exited their vehicles and followed suit. Hey, Beninato, the chief called over to a fellow policewoman who approached them. Why is everyone sitting around? The redhead cleared her throat as she kept her stare on the house's front door. If you heard the noise we heard, you would have stayed in your car too. None of the house's outside lights were on. About time somebody had the guts to come out. The gruff southern drawl came from the right. You're the one who called? The chief shined his flashlight on the man. That's right. Tucked under the bearded neighbor's right arm, a hunting rifle tipped the danger meter up a bit more. Gonna help me put the sucker in the ground? The rookie took a quick glance behind. Having 8 others watching his and each other's backs helped ease his mind. Depends. In hopes of getting more details, the superior officer marched over. Sheriff Martin Danbury, can you describe this animal? Unlike anything I've ever seen before. Those 6 words fueled the tension in all of the policemen. Danbury pursed his lips. How about anything that might help us figure out how to take it down? The southerner revealed a crooked grin. It's damn quick. That's it? Now that you know, you'll need to make sure you're quicker. Once he'd cleared his throat, Danbury instructed his younger colleague, Summerford, do a perimeter check. Already traveling up a stone path to the front porch to survey things, a stench assaulted the rookie's nose. Dang, did someone die around here? Squish. A foot-wide pile of dung enveloped his right foot. With an arm over his mouth, the rookie cursed as he turned his face away from the putrid stench. You gotta be kidding me. Danbury called over. What are you going on about, Summerford? Removing his boot from the feces, Kevin Summerford cursed under his breath before responding. Think I just stepped in a load of... You need to get off my property right now. Everyone snapped to attention as the homeowner exploded from his front door in a blur of red hair and quick movements to meet the group of uninvited guests. That's the fella right there. The southerner's overalls straps jostled as he readied his rifle. His critter shouldn't be too far behind. The homeowner pointed a finger inches away from his neighbor's face. Because you shot at it. It sees you as a threat. The southerner's beard wagged as he countered. That bloodthirsty thing was gonna make a meal out of my pigs. Of course I was gonna shoot it. You reckless idiot. The red-headed man noticed the chief getting ready to split them up. I've been trying to calm it down. Since you grazed its leg with your gunshot, it views you as a danger to me also. You need to leave right now. Excuse me, sir. I'm Chief Danbury. Martin turned his flashlight onto the homeowner. We'd much appreciate it if you tell us what kind of animal you're housing and how potentially dangerous it is. After some deep breaths, the redhead counted the number of people around him as he shook his head. None of you should be here right now. A piercing, otherworldly cry came from the inside of the farmhouse. Summerford forgot about the dung in his boot. What on God's green earth was that? The redhead's arm slackened. Damn. Smash. Glass shattered as a figure tangled up in a mess of curtains had burst through the front window. Faster than anyone had anticipated, it raced down the front porch steps, knocked over a shocked Summerford, and vanished into the corn crops to the left of the homestead. Holy! Danbury rushed over. You okay, Summerford? Standing at the edge of the crops to the right, the Southerner put his rifle into position, ready for anything. Told you it was quick. Fine, I'm fine. Summerford hopped back onto his feet. Summerford hopped back onto his feet. It just winded me. That's because it could smell you from inside. The redhead stayed aware of the crops which surrounded the house from every side except the front. You're new. Therefore, you're nothing to fear. He could have done worse. Ain't you boys gonna follow that monster? The bearded neighbor kept an eye on the corn crop horizon. Danbury and Summerford stared at each other. Heck no. Summerford kept a tight grip on his handgun. Tall grass and a crazy animal isn't my kind of adventure. The Southerner stepped forward. You all are a bunch of... Ah! In less than 30 seconds, the creature had traveled around the house and snatched the armed man. A barrage of bullets unloaded on the area where the Southerner had been dragged into the field. Only orders to cease fire from Danbury quieted their gunfire. Irritation over the unclear situation pushed Danbury to come face to face with the homeowner. Details. Now. What are we dealing with? And if you don't tell me, I'm ordering all my men here to rain down on whatever's out there. Still hesitant, the distressed homeowner flexed his hands as he sighed. None of you will believe me. After what I saw in Washington a few years ago, Summerford spoke as if everyone had seen it. Try us. If I tell you, it would be a breach of my contract. The homeowner raised his left eyebrow. You would all be swimming in red tape. Done with being kept in the dark, Danbury aimed his gun at the man. Seems as though you've got some kind of connection with it. What are you doing, Martin? Kevin gave him wild glances while keeping an eye out for the beast. Either you tell me what this classified creature is, Danbury disengaged the gun's safety, or I'll make the classified come to us. Every policeman swirled around as a dark-skinned creature bellowed from the top of one of the fire trucks. A glow from the moonlight added to its eeriness. Danbury's jaw dropped. Holy mother of... Before anyone could fire off a shot, the beast disembarked the large red vehicle. The odd animal's 8-foot tail whipped past 2 officers as it put itself in front of the homeowner. Danbury couldn't believe his eyes. Teeth. Claws. Eyes that could make a man freeze. Easy, girl. Hey now. Completely unafraid, the redhead stroked the crown of its 2-foot-long head. His fingers rippled down the scales of the nearly 10-foot-tall beast. An attempt to try to calm it down. They're not going to hurt you. Summerford fumbled his weapon. Sir, is that a... Please, don't hurt her. Don't hurt her! Danbury aimed at the snouted reptilian head. Blood dripped from its jaws. This thing just killed someone! In all due respect, I've studied this creature for a year, the man rebutted. I know how it perceives the world. If you've had this thing for a whole year? Summerford backed up a step. And it hasn't taken a chunk out of you? Yes. The redhead raised a hand in hopes of stopping the police from hurting or even killing it. If you shoot it, you'll be destroying millions of dollars in research. Gun still pointed at the hissing, man-sized lizard. Danbury shook his head. Sorry, can't risk any more. An eerie and absolute silence surrounded them, which made the chief peek behind himself over his shoulder. Every other officer had become incapacitated. Even the firefighters sat limp in their trucks. Thip. Summerford's hand slapped against his superior's shoulder for support. Chief, something in my... The rookie slumped to the dirt, his head inches away from the dung. A tranquilizer dart protruded from his neck. Overwhelmed by the sudden turn in the situation, Danbury's hand tremored for his aim as he aimed his firearm back at the intimidating, scaly beast. What the heck kind of operation are you? A numbing sensation overtook him as Martin's left hand discovered a dart in the back of his neck. His legs gave out. Unable to fire off a single bullet, his body met the stone path from the driveway to the house. Razor-sharp teeth flashed in front of his eyes before the world went black. It's getting good. It's getting good. All right, time for a drink for me. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Okay. Definitely gonna have to edit these. Yeah, fire trucks. Yeah, definitely gonna have to do that. That's why I have the live here for the fun, and the edited versions for the proper proper words. It does make sense, like, that I have, like, some dyslexia tendencies, but I do my best. Okay, so, chapter 2. Got anything to say for yourself? Stuck at his desk, the student saw no way out. 6 minutes remained until the end of a non-physical phys ed class. Cameron fiddled with his folded glasses. Only that school grading systems are crap. The pudgy gym teacher, Mr. Richardson, gave his pupil an intimidating stare. Or at least he hoped it would instill some fear, trying to be smart with me. There are 2 things I find unfair. Cameron Eckhart unfolded his black-rimmed glasses and put them back on. Only 2? For one, art teachers mark grades on what they personally like, and yet what I paint is probably on par with what an elephant's painting will sell for, which can sometimes go for a solid grand. Trust me, I saw it on the internet. With only a couple minutes left, Cameron slid his backpack out from between his legs. Look it up. They're quite good with their trunks. Ultimately, the teacher will try to influence a student in hopes of saying they helped produce an amazing artist, therefore feeding their ego. Mr. Richardson huffed. Okay, and the second thing? The brown-haired Cameron smirked. That just like the art teacher, you'll do whatever you can to boost your ego, or wrestling team, in your case. Richardson's jaw tensed. Excuse me, Eckhart? You asked me if I have anything to say for myself, and I'm saying it. Eckhart stood up to match the coach's stance. His gray-green eyes brimmed with confidence. Sure, I took down Smith Bradley and Perry. 3 guys over my weight class. Ever since I said no to joining the wrestling team. Cameron waved his report card in the teacher's face. I've seen my grades slip from the 90s to, what's that? Even 50%? Red in the face, Richardson struggled to form words even though his mouth gaped open. Isn't a motto in every school to, what is it now, say no to bullies? Before Richardson could counter, the bell rang. I'll be taking this to Principal Crosby. The backpack swung over Cameron's shoulders as he headed for the door. See you in school court, Richie. Thankfully, only a quarter of his last semester remained at Carbon High School in Price, Utah. Cameron couldn't wait to be done with the faculty and their politics. More than that, he yearned to finally get a chance to perfect his writing skill and publish his written works. Whenever he left school for the day, he'd rush home to channel everything into sci-fi, action, and adventures. Sometimes fantasy. Maybe tonight I'll start on my androids versus aliens idea. Do I start it on Earth or in space, though? Or I could spend some time fleshing out backstories for some side characters, off in some kind of fantasy world again. From behind, the slightly raspy voice pulled him out of his creative thoughts. Ask the girl who still dreams of one day finding a prince. Cameron arrived at his locker and fiddled with the spinning padlock. After almost 4 years, it seemed to come subconsciously. Leaning against the locker to his left, she gave him a playful smack on the arm. One day he'll come for me. Too bad this school is full of jocks and jerks. Those words usually mean the same thing, right? Cameron swapped his backpack for his science book, textbook, and blue binder. Patience, Princess Vivian. At 18, no one knows who they are yet. All that rules the adolescent's mind is what's below the belt. Ew, Vivian giggled, curling mixed strands of blonde and red behind her ear. Even though that's true, I repeat, ew. Shaking her head in amusement, she'd grown used to Cameron's habit of speaking like her grandpa, and learned early on to shrug it off. He tapped on the earbud in his left ear. Derek! I'm gonna pause here. Fun fact, the gym teacher tanking my marks because I didn't join but that actually happened. When I read it, I knew that exactly. That's why I kind of smirked. I don't know if you noticed. I'm so glad you're here. I was trying to send you, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy my reading. I was trying my hardest to tag you in it and to get you in here as soon as possible. So I'm glad you made it. I'm so excited that you are joining. And I'm glad you missed when I was trying to say fire trucks and I said tire pumps. I'll edit that out for the actual edited versions. But yeah, I read that and I'm like, yeah, this is an actual thing that happened. I can tell. I don't blame you. Okay. I'm just going to repeat it for the edited version so that it's going to be smooth. As smooth as possible. Okay. Oh, here we go. He tapped on the earbud in her left ear. What you listening to? Oh, she pulled out her cell phone and tapped the screen with her thumb a few times before handing over her other earbud. I found this guy called Cody Fry. Apparently he's good friends with Ben Rector. Ooh, the mention of the second artist caught his attention since that. So real quick, I'm gonna edit this so I know like in one of your, somewhere I read these are actual artists too, or at least one of them are. So just, for anybody listening on the live, because I'll be editing this out for the edited versions, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, let me try it again. He tapped on the earbud in her left ear. What you listening to? Oh, she pulled out her cell phone and tapped the screen with her thumb a few times before handing over her other earbud. I found this guy called Cody Fry. Apparently he's good friends with Ben Rector. Ooh, the mention of the second artist caught his attention, since that had been one of his favorites to listen to. What's his style like? He's kind of indie, but has a symphonic composer aspect too. Cam plucked the earbud from her hand. Now I need to hear this guy. He started bopping his head to the tune, then stuck his elbow out to her. Well, Lady Lancaster, shall we head on to class? Vivian Lancaster looped her arm through his. Why, thank you, sir. Why, thank you, Sir Cam. Being silly had become second nature to them. Awkward stares from the students around them didn't matter. They'd been best friends since they were 2 years old. Both families had gone camping in Oregon, and through sheer coincidence had lost lots across from each other. So, shout out. Yes, thank you, Carm. Oh, man, wish I'd been here. Yeah. So both Ben and Cody live and watching the back of Jenner's shoe. Oh, nice. Well, and I didn't realize that, I don't know where you're located at, but I'm originally from Oregon, actually. And camping in Oregon is seriously the best thing ever. So, and Carm, you're going to have a lot of editing work to do for this. Okay. Derek Borne, so you saw them live back in January. Nice. I was just in a music video that, I've been in several music videos, but the latest one just came out a couple days ago. So that's pretty cool. If they need an actress for their music videos, or need to hire anybody, I know a really great guy to do their music video for them, and a really great actress too. Just saying. All right, let's see if we can keep on track somewhat so we don't have too much to edit. Okay. Being silly had become second nature to them. Awkward stares from the students around them didn't matter. They'd been best friends since they were 2 years old. Both families had gone camping in Oregon and, through sheer coincidence, had lots across from each other. It had been Cam who'd waddled over to the neighboring Lancasters campsite and struck up kitty conversation with Viv. They were inseparable for the rest of the trip. Their parents headed off as well, which led to the Eckerts eventually moving to the small town of Price, Utah. Dinners and get-togethers at each other's houses and movie or game nights became the norm for all of them. In middle school, their peers had teased that Cam and Viv would most likely end up getting married. This was due to the world majority's belief that a guy and a girl can't simply be friends. Ain't that the truth? Canada, but I did my research. Yeah, you did. You did a good job on the research there. Oregon has the best camping spots for sure. For Cam and Viv, they had remained friends and nothing more. When things got rough, one would always be there for the other. If any plans were made, one would always make sure to include the other without hesitation. They became a testament to the phrase, friends are the family you choose for yourself. As they turned a corner, the science classroom required only a few more steps. You kidding me? Viv glanced at him with her teal eyes. Richardson seriously docked you that much? He needs to be slapped in the face with a chair. Metal or wood? Cameron chuckled as he escorted her to the door. Ladies first. The back middle of the room had become their usual desk spot. Something interesting happened in math, by the way. She got settled in her chair. I feel like I already know your answer, but figured I'd see what you think. Is this a vague something interesting? Don't be a doofus. Vig cracked a grin as she smacked his darker-toned hand. We got invited to Amy Kloss's place for a pool party tonight. It took a moment for the news to sink in for him. You mean, with other people? We don't get invited out often, so I said we'd be there. She tapped her pen on the desk. Might be nice to get our social on. With pursed lips, he cracked his neck while deciding. You sure it's not a trick into becoming the designated ones? Or you could give other humans a chance? Blah. Disgusting race. Viv snorted as she flicked her shoulder with the pen. Whatever. Hours later at home, Vivian had finished picking out an outfit and bathing suit for the pool party. Figuring it would get cool later, she slipped on a light pink sweater. Her hair didn't need much, since it would get wet anyways. Purse, check. Plastic bag to keep valuables from getting wet, check. Cell phone, check. Wallet, check. You're wearing that to the party? Irritating little brother. Check. Who made you the fashion police? Arthur, affectionately nicknamed Artie, leaned against the doorframe to her bedroom. When I was born, it was put in the contract. Remind me to ask Mom and Dad to look into the fine print. As she walked past him, Viv ruffled Artie's slicked-back gold blonde hair. Getting any attention from your fellow minor Niners girls with that hairdo? Do you even need to ask? Slightly embarrassed, he smirked while following her to the stairs. So, are you finally going to tell Cam tonight? Tell him what? Oh, I see. You're still waiting for the right time. Tell him what? Oh, I see. You're still waiting for the right time. At the bottom of the stairs, Viv slipped her pre-tied shoes on. You can stop talking now, weirdo. She peered out the front door window. Where is he? Save me from this agony. Artie had made his way down and leaned against the stairs rail post. Love watching you squirm. Overly annoyed with him, she rested a shoulder onto the door trim. Mom, Dad, can you get Artie's leash? He's acting up again. All they heard from their father, who sat in the kitchen, was, Kids, don't make me turn this house around. Both of the kids had a little chuckle. Okay, that's pretty funny. I like that. I haven't heard that phrase before. I like that. That's funny. A burgundy red pickup truck pulled up outside and honked. Artie glanced out the window, and Prince Eckerd arrives on his steed. And the little wart stays home to scoop the dung. Vivian swung the door open. See ya, bro. Love you, sis. Halfway down the front walk, Vivian realized her legs had been moving faster than Halfway down the front walk, Vivian realized her legs had been moving faster than she'd intended. Slow down, less eager now. By the time she reached the passenger door, she saw a busy Cam setting up the Bluetooth on his phone. She made sure to not open the truck door with too much gusto. What tunes are we playing on the way? What we listen to all the time. Cam pressed play on his cell phone's music app. Alex Rainbird music. Just released a new indie playlist a few hours ago. Vivian shut the door and buckled in. Oh, have you listened to any East Love? Their style is awesome. Nice and folky with a hint of rock. They're on one of their older playlists. Phone still in hand, he searched for their name. Any song in particular? Put on Sweet Arizona. Done and done. They drove off and headed for the opposite end of town. Amy Kloss's house would only be another 10-minute drive into the country. Though they were together, they didn't need to talk much. Spending years together got them to the point where simply being in a car with great music equaled a good time. At one point, Vivian glanced over and noticed he still wore long pants on a hot day. Are you wearing a bathing suit underneath? Didn't bring one. She slapped him on the shoulder. You did remember it's a pool party, right? With a bunch of hormonal child teens peeing in said pool? He shrugged. I could tell you really wanted to go, though. Wait. The last thing he said made her grin. The only reason you're going is because I am? Cam, you didn't have to. It's okay, Viv. He held out his fist to be bumped. If a party will make you happy, then I want you to be happy. Like you said, we don't really go to any. As her fist bumped into his, it sparked a full smile on her face. He would do that for me? After staring at him with admiration for a few seconds, she ran her fingers through her hair while a sign came up on the right-hand side of the road. Soracord. The local dinosaur museum notified drivers of being 2 miles ahead. Soracorps had been a popular tourist attraction for 6 years. Cam recognized the name of the intersecting road and turned his blinker on to turn right. All right, almost. Keep going straight. Her sudden change in destination threw him. Why? Viv angled her body to view him better. I was just asking myself the same question. More so, why did I want to go to this party? You and I have never quite fit in with the crowd. So why did I think we could be in a pool with them? A pee-pee pool. Cam winked at her as he pulled over onto the road's shoulder. Viv, honestly, it's okay if we go. More than anything, I just want to people watch for story ideas. The last thing he said made her hold back a wince. More than anything? She reached over and turned down the volume on the music. How about we visit the museum? The museum? Cam recalled the sign they'd passed. You mean Soracorps? Viv pointed to the road. Make it so, Eckhart. They'd be closed by now. Does that matter? A surprised chuckle came out of him. Lady Lancaster, are you suggesting we sneak in? Her eyebrows danced up and down. It would make for a good story. Cameron had never known her to be this unpredictable before. Cameron had never known her to be this unpredictable before. There had been times where they got into some kind of mischief. But this, a whole new level. Either way, she'd made a good point. People watch versus museum break-in. Vivian still grinned as he flicked on the left-hand turn signal before merging back onto the gravel road. My storyline got you, didn't it? It was a good line. On the next chapter, be ready to do a Christian Bale meme, I don't know. That's when we started at Form 3, which led us all third formers being called. I remember being in 2nd grade and teasing the 3rd graders and calling them turd graders. I thought it was clever. I was 2nd grade. I was 4th grade talking to the 3rd graders, that's right. Yeah, I kind of was grade 9s in my kids' school were called. I never heard of that. I'm loving this. Like, I'm picking up little, like, personal touches all along the way. I love that. And I'm kind of picking up on how these are, you know, real people, either that you know or that you like. It's really cool. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Okay. I'll do my best Batman voice. Yeah. No, I think anytime it's children, I think we all kind of have the same ideas. Silly ideas. This is really good, by the way, Derek. I'm actually legitimately liking this a lot. So, thank you. Okay, now for the recording part, for the sake of recording, Chapter 3. Forgot how tall the gate was. Forgot how tall the gate was. Vivian gawked at the museum's barrier. By now, the sun had nearly set beyond the horizon, which made her enjoy what she wished was a romantic setting. They'd parked the burgundy truck a couple of stone throws away from the gated entrance. The 15-foot thick and formidable wall presented them with second thoughts. The main entrance consisted of the same thickness of metal doors. Kinda always wondered why they built this place like an army base or castle. Impressed by its stature, Cameron cleared a nervous scratch from his throat. Which leads to my next question. How the heck are we going to climb over this thing? That's got to be at least 50 feet high. And I left my trusty grappling hook at home. Viv leaned against the truck's front bumper beside him. Are you Batman now? Adding a great I see where we're talking about. Let me get prepared for this a bit more. I'm the Batman. Adding a gravelly, hard-to-understand tone to his throat. Cam smirked. Yeah, it's gonna make me start coughing before I finish. What harder you think? There's this bear curse. I tell everyone we're screwed. The rasp made him start coughing before he could finish. Busting a gut, Viv smacked his shoulder. What the heck did you just say? A laugh finally came out of him. Exactly. No, it's fine. As they assessed their predicament, a white cargo van with Soracorp's decal on the hood approached from half a mile away. The teens scrambled into the ditch to avoid detection. New plan. Cam flexed his cheek muscles while working out the risky details. Can't believe I'm about to say this. But when the van rolls by, we'll hop out and each snag a back corner. Might work. From her vantage point, she spied the entrance. There are cameras over the gates. They might catch us. You keep saying might. Yeah, so? That leaves room for a might not. The van slowed down as it neared the truck. The driver stopped to check over the burgundy vehicle's cab only to find it empty. Cam and Viv scurried out of the ditch and hesitated behind the truck's tailgate. The driver pressed on the gas pedal. Both teens dashed behind the van. Before the white vehicle could gain enough speed, Cam lunged for the back and clamped his fingers onto the right-hand side lip of the roof and one of the exterior hinges. Once he'd found his footing on the bumper, he checked Viv's status. Her left foot almost slid off the black bumper as she just snagged her fingertips into the left back door's rubber weather stripping. They glanced at each other while thinking the same thing. This is insane. The van jerked to a stop. Both kids almost slipped off due to the sudden halt. After the driver's door opened and slammed shut, heated footsteps grew louder. What the heck do you think you're The driver studied their adolescent faces. Really? A couple of kids? Bug off. Viv sighed. Guess it wasn't the cameras we had to be worried about. As Cam dismounted, he noticed the driver was a slender, dark-skinned woman whose super curly hair poofed out the back of her SoraCorp's cap. Sorry, miss. We were just hoping to get a couple of hats like that for ourselves. Got any in the back? The woman snorted. You expect me to believe that? Let's just go, Cam. Viv had already started back for the truck. It was a decent try. About to join her, Cam noticed something odd while in mid-step. Instead, he swung his right foot back beside his left. Hold on. Viv, don't think we're done here yet. The hazel-eyed driver's lanyard badge jostled as she crossed her arms. Listen, kid, the museum's only open to employees at this time. Come back tomorrow and visit the gift shop. Oh, I'm pretty sure you're going to let us in. Confused as to why he stayed by the van, Viv rejoined him. She's clearly not going to let us through, Cam. He chuckled. Beg to differ. The stern woman took another step toward the grinning young man. You must have a lot of nerve, kid. And you must have done a rush job on your fake ID. It took a moment for the lady to clue in. Cam maintained a nonchalant expression. Your, face is sliding off. Lifting the badge to check it, the lady cursed under her breath. Never using that glue again. Once she slipped it out of the sleeve and repositioned it, she looked back at the two teenagers sticking around. And I suppose you want something from me. Still uncomfortable, Viv grabbed her friend's arm. Viv grabbed her friend's arm. We should just leave, Cam. Nah, we're so close. He stepped forward and matched the woman's stance. Tell you what, Holly Reynolds, if that is your real name, my friend and I are going to stow in the back of the van. The woman scoffed. Or you could just head on home. All right, fine. Cam pulled his cell phone out from his back pocket. But 911 are sure easy numbers to push. Maybe Holly's eyes flared up. You wouldn't. We won't call the cops on you if you let us through. Impressed by Cam's checkmate, since he was horrible at chess, Viv glanced back and forth at them. Even if we don't get in, this is amazing. Tapping her foot, Holly weighed her options. She'd traveled all the way there and couldn't wait another day. One condition. Cam returned the cell phone to his pocket. Which is? The woman leaned in, making sure they could see the determination in her eyes. If we make it through the gate, around back and into the building, and that's a big fat if, I'll direct you to the museum portion and you'll be on your merry way. Got it? Vivian's heart beat a little faster. As for Cameron, he saluted. Loud and clear, Holly Boo Bolly. While pointing a finger at the young man, Holly met eyes with Viv. Is your boyfriend always this aggravating? Vivian snorted, also trying to hide an awkward smile. There's good days and bad days. This has been fun, but can we get going now? Cam purposefully bumped into the woman's finger and on his way to the back of the SoraCorp's van. After a long, heated sigh, Holly shook her head as she opened the vehicle's rear doors. Can't believe this is happening. Unsure of what to say as she hopped in the back after Cam, Viv simply smiled at the driver for their Trojan horse. A hard object poked her as she sat down on a green tarp. Ow, feels like something bony just stabbed. Oh, right. Dinosaur Museum. Even though you've blackmailed me into doing this, there are some ground rules. Exasperated and rushed, Holly's voice remained firm. Rule number 1, no noise. Number 2, don't steal any of these dinosaur bones because, yes, they're real. Cam threw his head back with a sigh. 4 hours later. Holly blasted an excuse me glare at him. The most important rule, don't get in my way and don't irritate me. We understand. Ready to carry on, Viv nodded. All we wanted to do was check out the fossils in the dark. Night safari style. Wait, Cam thought out loud. Do you consider that one rule? Because it sounded like it was technically 2 rules. Shut up, Cam. Having enough of his antics, Viv shoved him. making him roll into the vehicle's inner metal wall. You. I like you. You're not You're not irritating. You. I like you. You're not irritating. Holly continued, pointing her finger. Him? Not so much. A few minutes later, Holly pulled the van around back to the shipping and receiving gate. A high-tech metal tower with the speaker and scanner greeted her window. Holly checked her ID once more before holding it up to the facial scanner. Faces on straight? Thankfully, a hacker contact had assisted in inputting a fake profile in the Sarah Corps' database weeks before. Similar to the front gate, the back one opened inward with a buzz after an eternal moment passed. And we're in! Pleased by the first stage of her entry, Holly's anxious fingers touched the beak of the cap, swiveling it back and forth to scratch her forehead. Cam whispered loudly, "Are we allowed to ask why you're also sneaking in?" She rolled her eyes at the boy's inquiry, which came from behind her through the dividing grate. No noise, remember? And no. It's a legitimate question. I said no. How do we know we're not in the back of an actual thief's van, or whatever you are? Swerving back... Let me get readjusted. Swerving around to back up to a bay door, she pressed on the brakes. 2 kids in the back of her van amounted to the biggest wrench to ever be thrown into her plan. Don't think you want to get wrapped up in it. Even if I try to explain, I doubt you'd believe me. Kim exchanged curious glances with Viv. Huh, sounds pretty intense. Since she perceived to be on the lady's good side, Viv came at the situation from a caring perspective. Is there anything we could maybe help you with? Holly backed up toward the overhead door. Trust me, kid. You don't want to mess with these guys. The ominous reply made Cam tense up. Beside him, Viv began picking at her thumb. A certain tone in Holly's voice didn't sit right with Cam. It's just a museum. You make it sound sinister or something. Parked outside of the bay door, Holly bent down, unzipped a duffel bag, and stuffed an object inside her windbreaker jacket. If only you knew. She exited the van and marched over to the man door beside the overhead. The barcoded ID badge met another scanner. It took her a moment to realize she'd been subconsciously tapping her left foot. Keep calm. Don't mess up. Her spirits lifted when green lights of success lit up beside the handle. Here we go. No turning back. In the back of the van, the teenagers heard a heavy metal door slam closed. She isn't leaving us out here, is she? Viv had moved on to picking her thumb again. Hate to say it, but that pool party sounds real good right now. And that's the end of that chapter. We made it through 3 chapters already. I need to get repositioned. Ugh. Some more water. Hope everybody's loving it as much as I am. This is really good. Okay. Yeah, I try. Wow, it's a lot to read out loud like that. Usually when I'm recording the bedtime stories like on my own, I take plenty of breaks, but when it's live, it's a little more tricky when you're live. Oh, thank you guys for the likes. And if you're not already following me or subscribing, if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. It will help me a lot, and I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers. It is. This is a really great book, and thank you again to Derek for letting me read it to everybody. You did a really good job. All right, back for recording. Chapter 4. Inside the complex, Holly slid the overhead door's metal security bar into the unlocked position and reached for the chain. Didn't know we were expecting a delivery. The voice from behind made Holly glance back while unwrapping the hoist chain from a wall hook. Yeah, sorry. Kind of a last-minute thing. The Latino guard strolled over. Where's Phil? Haven't seen you deliver before. Got your papers? Yeah. About to pull down on the chain to raise the door, she turned to address the guard. On the passenger seat. Hey. While trying her best to stay calm, she couldn't stop the adrenaline surge when that single word entered her ears. The man took hold of the chain. Let me help you with that. Holly put on a relieved grin. All yours, bud. Once the bay door had opened to human height, she slipped back outside. Wait, let me read that again for recording. She slipped back outside and hopped into the van. The tense situation almost made her forget about the stowaways. Hang tight back there. If you were having thoughts about turning back, it's too late now. The vehicle lurched forward, swaying the teenagers back and forth. Vivian braced a hand on her friend's shoulder for support. Will we have to go through all this again to get back out? Cameron rocked into the van's inner wall before giving her a cheeky smirk. If we get out. Not helping. Quiet, Holly called back to them with a lowered voice, pulling in now. Once the van had parked inside, the guard decelerated the slide of the chain as the overhead door closed. Through the second checkpoint, Holly snatched her duffel bag before leaving the driver's seat. Give me 1 more minute. Interested in seeing what had been delivered, the Latino man arrived at the rear doors before she did. Is this a fossil delivery? From inside the van, the man's outline could be seen through the tinted window. Viv gripped Cam's wrist. Wait, hand tucked into her jacket. Holly hoped the man would take his hand off the handle. Don't you want the packing slip first? We'll get to it either way. No, really, I can get it for you. The guard removed his hand from the rear door handle. If you insist. I do. The man took a step back before collapsing to the concrete floor. After a quick inspection of the area, Holly threw open the van's back doors. All right, folks, entrance to the public museum is on to your right. As soon as Viv hopped out, her hands shot to her face as she whispered in trepidation, Oh my God, did you just kill that guy? Exasperated, Holly threw her head back. He's not dead. That's it. I'm calling the police. A shaken Cam fished his cell phone out of his pocket. This has gone way too far. He isn't dead. To show them how she operated, Holly knelt by the body and pointed to a dart protruding from the man's upper chest. I tranked him. I guess that makes me feel a little better? Viv's breathing sped up as her trust in this break-in helped waver. Guess that makes me feel a little better? Viv's breathing sped up as her trust in their break-ins helped her wavered. Okay, so you're not a killer. After returning the cell phone to his pocket, Cam pointed at the unconscious person. But this? I mean, what's your deal? Back on her feet, Holly got in his face. You better get lost before this problem becomes your problem. Cam didn't back down. And what if you turn out to be the real problem all along? Holly threw her arms up in the air and growled at the industrial ceiling. Boy, I got you and your girl in here. This is where we part ways. Now, I'm not so sure we should leave you unattended. Ugh, guys. As stubborn Cam and annoyed Holly bickered, Viv noticed movement through the windows of double doors. Guys? As stubborn Cam and annoyed Holly bickered, Viv noticed movement through the windows of double doors. Wherever we go, we should get moving. The other two stopped talking immediately. To their left, a gray metal door led to a stairwell. Fine then. Holly took charge. That's the next checkpoint. Stay close. The unlikely group hurried over. With the duffel bag still slung over her shoulder, Holly pulled out a gadget and hooked it up to the code reader. It broke the sequence within 6 seconds. Impressed by the resourcefulness, Viv chuckled. First a trank, now this? You're pretty badass. Cool, huh? Holding the door open, Holly checked behind for followers as everyone entered the stairwell. Head down. Since we're sticking together now, might be good if I get your names. Can we use fake names like you? Kim referred to the ID badge once more. We can keep with the Reynolds names. Call me Captain Malcolm. Holly cocked her head. Firefly reference? Nicely done, Firefly. Thank you. The catch surprised Viv. You've seen the show? Only the best show to be canceled way too early. As she passed the kids on the steps. Holly checked the next flight for security with a tranquilizer gun. And you're right, by the way. Holly Reynolds isn't my real name. Another flight of the stairs down. Still no guards. The watchfulness of the mysterious woman made Cameron keep an eye on things behind them. So, who are you? The woman stopped at the next level. My real name is Emily Ann Lewis. EA, if you like. You two? I'm Vivian. She waved a hand over to her friend. And this is Cameron. EA pulled out the code reader again for the door. Funny thought his name would be Irritator. Hilarious. Cam's face stayed deadpan. Desired lights and a beep signified entry, allowing EA to stash the gadget in the bag again. Oh, you got the... I need a drink for this one. Seriously, it was. I don't know what the deal was with that one, that's for sure. Oh, you got the Cretaceous period dinosaur name reference? Cam squinted. Excuse me? Ah, good. EA opened the door for the tag-alongs. Thought you were a constant know-it-all. They started down an empty hallway with taupe walls and speckled linoleum floors, passing marked rooms where scientific work happened. Other than some domed ceiling cameras, the group hadn't noticed any kind of human security whatsoever. The deeper they traveled into the complex, the more Viv's worries grew. How are we going to get out of this place? More importantly, what kind of trouble are we getting into? Moving at a decent pace, EA set her sights on an intersecting hallway up ahead. Skinny signs stuck out from the corners indicating particular areas in each direction. In yellow letters, the left led to the fossil restoration. Going straight, DNA extraction. To the right, supplies and cleaning. EA's back met the corner to their right as she held up her left arm to stop the others. Hold up, let me take a look. After glancing at the sign, Cam spoke up. Supplies? Why would they guard? Listen. EA's eyes belied a fierceness which she couldn't mask anymore. What I'm trying to do here is not to freak you out, but it's a matter of life and death. The more you talk and ask needless questions, the less I could focus on keeping us all alive. The vague seriousness of the situation finally kicked in for him. This woman meant business. For the first time in his life, a truly frightened Cameron swallowed down a scratchy lump in his throat. EA poked her head around the corner. An elevator door stood at the end of the 50-foot section of hallway. Another camera hung right in the middle of the ceiling above it. This should take care of you. EA pulled out a handheld object half the size of a television remote. Her hand by the floor, she snuck the remote around the corner and pressed the main button for 5 seconds to distort the camera's view. Almost there. Go. The three rounded the corner. It didn't take long for them to reach the next point. You've got all this tech and weapons. Something about the whole break-in seemed off to Viv. But we've only run into one person this whole time. Yeah, the same thought had been niggling on EA's mind. Worries me a bit. About to crack another access code, she unzipped the black bag. But I have to... Ding! The elevator opened on its own. Cam raised an eyebrow. You didn't even use that thing, did you? No. EA tensed her jaw as she entered. Inside, thoughts about turning back started a screaming match with others telling her to march on. We've come too far to turn back now. Stepping inside and it shut up her inner protests. Get in. Even though the events kept getting stranger, Viv stepped inside with Miss Lewis. In disbelief, Cam's eyelids flared open. Viv, what are you doing? She's our best chance of getting out of here. Vivian's eyes met his. I trust her. Cool part is the whole cast is still really good friends and hang out. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's such a good cast. That's what I enjoy about acting, is like being on set with everybody, especially like when it's a multi-day shoot or whatever. You really do become like a family. I think that's like the best part, to be quite honest, for me, in my little experience I have. Chapter 5. An awkward silence filled the floor. I'm already messing up. Hold on, I'm gonna get my eye drops because it's getting harder for me to see. Reading live while I'm recording is proving to be a challenge that I didn't anticipate, because I'm not taking as many breaks as I normally would, and like resting up. Where did I put my eye drops at? Hold on, I need to find my eye drops. Oh, I'm stuck. Okay, much better. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, I guess I could put that back in so I can actually hear. Yeah, exactly. Chapter 5. An awkward silence filled the four-floor descent. The teenagers stood next to each other on one side of the elevator. On the other, Emily Ann reloaded her tranquilizer gun. Vivian needed answers. The woman they'd inadvertently joined didn't seem like a bad person, and yet EA's vague nature still kept her on her toes. Viv couldn't judge, though, since they'd also broken in and entered alongside her. As for every time Cameron wanted to inquire more, he opted to bite his tongue. Ding! The ominous elevator door slid open. The ominous elevator door slid open. Another barren hallway stood before them. EA took the first wary step out. Should only be one way to go from here. How do you know this place so well? Viv took it upon herself to learn more. Did you work here before? Not me, but someone in my family used to. EA broke into a brisk stroll as the duffel bag bounced against her hip. The closer they got to the end of the single hall, the faster her pace became. Took me 3 months to prep for this. We definitely ruined things for you then, Cam quipped, keeping up with her. EA chuckled at the ridiculousness of it all. I mean, Viv's fine. Could have done without you and your smart mouth, though. Okay, that's enough. Viv came to a halt. The banter had finally reached her threshold. Somehow all of us have to find a way to get along whether we like it or not. A few feet ahead of them, a reluctant EA also stopped. On Viv's right, Cam gave her a sheepish glance. And now we're all on some insane, random mission under some dinosaur museum, Viv summed up, getting more riled up as she spoke. Now, I for one had hoped to make it into my graduation. She turned toward the somewhat secretive EA. But the more we head toward whatever it is you're bent on getting or doing, The more I feel like Cameron and I may not even get to see that day. With his fingers folded behind his neck, Cam removed his left hand to point at his friend. She makes a fair point. Cameron. Viv whipped her gaze to him next. You're my best friend. Having said that, you need to tone it down. At least until we get out of this mess. It had been a long time since he'd seen her so stressed out. As soon as her anxious teal eyes bored into his, he almost became speechless. Okay. Ready to keep moving, EA raised an eyebrow at them. You two have something really special. Cam whipped a denying glare at EA. Viv, on the other hand, blushed and looked down at her shoes. EA put her hands up in defeat at their different responses. Sorry, thought you guys were a thing. We've known each other since we were toddlers, he explained, giving Viv a once-armed squeeze. But we're not together. Gotcha. With the more pressing matter returning to priority, EA swirled back around and continued marching. As they passed by more security cameras, she couldn't shake an increasing worry in the back of her mind. Something is wrong, but what? It wasn't until the halfway mark down the hall that Cam noticed another odd thing. Other than double doors at the end, no other doors lined the top walls. No windows either. He turned to Viv on his left. What do you think they do down here? Who knows? What EA had warned about earlier kept ringing in his ears. All I hope is that we get home safe. Maybe they're trying to bring dinosaurs back to life, Mosquito and Amber style. She smirked. I've been waiting for a Jurassic Park reference. EA came within 10 feet of the end. Once the double doors became clear, her eyes opened wide. No. The single word made Cam and Viv snap to attention. No. No. Jittery hands opened her duffel bag as EA plopped it on the floor beside the right-hand door. I need blueprints. They must have changed. The setup from the original blueprints. Viv came to her side. What's the problem? There's no code to read. EA's voice shook. Having no idea of what to fish for in her bag, there should be a code activator, but there's nothing here. As he surveyed the doors, Cam stepped forward. Maybe there's another way in. He referred to his movie knowledge. Is there a floor tile that looks off from the others? Viv rolled her eyes and chuckled. Check for a candle to pull out and put back in, too. If only Gene Wilder were here, Cam chuckled in reply. You two need to... EA couldn't finish as tears took over her face. She'd come so close. Please stop with the stupid references. Both teenagers refrained from making any response. Viv's empathy kicked in as she crashed beside her. Emily Ann, what's really going on here? Sniffles preceded EA's reply. She wiped her cheeks. I came here to Double doors unlocked from the inside with a heavy mechanical click. As if in slow motion, what seemed like the end of their journey opened up into a room the size of an airplane hangar. Electrical noises crackled from somewhere inside, though they couldn't see the source from behind a reinforced, mostly solid steel gate with a football. Though they couldn't see the source from behind a reinforced, mostly solid steel gate with foot-tall bars lining the bottom of it. The bars allowed brilliant flashes of bluish light to trickle through. What the? Completely bewildered, Kim glanced down at the ladies in trepidation. This? EA rose to her feet. Wait, I wasn't expecting this. Viv squinted at her. Wasn't? The unknown of the room pulled all three of them into its clutches. None of them could take their eyes off the odd gate which spanned the entire width of the chamber. Large bolts kept it upright and attached to raw rock walls which lined the entirety of the area. A 30-foot wide door sat in the middle of the stainless steel that reached up to 50-foot ceiling. What exactly were you expecting? Viv somehow pulled her full attention away from the zaps and pops from beyond the steel. EA went over everything in her head. The plan had been set. She'd made it to the end. I thought... Miss Lewis. A man's voice came from behind them. It's about time you arrived. Woo! Wrong phone. Alright, so we just finished chapter 5. I'm getting a little worn out, but I don't want to stop either because it's just getting to the good part. That's funny. That's funny. Drama. That is funny. Okay. Drink time. I'll stick with this. Okay. I'm gonna move this down here actually because I don't really need that down there. There we go. Much better. Okay. Chapter 6. Security guards rushed in and took up positions along the entrance wall. They pointed their feedback? Oh, is there feedback? Oh, I just moved stuff around, so it should be good now. Oh, I just moved my screen from the top monitor to the last monitor. Okay, I'll start over in case there was feedback then when I was moving. Chapter 6. Security guards rushed in and took up positions along the entrance wall. They pointed their rifles at the 3 intruders who huddled together. Dressed in a navy blue suit and matching blue necktie, the man who'd spoken also wore a devious grin. And who are your 2 little friends? Get behind me, Emily Ann instructed the teenagers. Duffel bag still slung over her right shoulder. She held her tranquilizer gun up in defense. Leave them out of it. Oh, I'm not sure I can do that. Hands behind his back, the man took a few intimidating steps closer. His dark beard had been trimmed with crisp lines. The 30-something sharp style made him out to be a man of image and power. Now that they've seen this room, they may just have to suffer the same consequences as you. Vivian shoved herself into Cameron's arms. Hey, Cam gave her a reassuring squeeze. I've got you. You would do something to a couple of kids? EA scoffed, disturbed by the idea. Who do you think you are? A sinister chuckle came from the suited man, who combed his fingers through his coffee-brown hair. You study this place for 3 months, yet you don't research the ones who built the empire. Don't like to spend too much time on scum. The man burst into disturbing laughter. After being entertained, he rubbed his hands together. Name's Sharp. Sebastian Sharp. Cam couldn't help but smirk. Did he just introduce himself like Bond? Quiet, Cam. Viv didn't want things to get worse. Recollection came over EA as she gripped her gun even harder. Sharp, you disgusting piece of... Whoa, Miss Lewis, not in front of the children now. Sebastian brought his hand up. Especially if these are the last words they ever hear. EA stepped forward. If you even touch them, you'll tickle us with that tranquilizer gun? Mr. Sharp strolled a few more feet toward them. You don't have a killing bone in your body. With crossed arms, he took in a deep breath while looking her up and down. But you've got a fire in you. Only because of what Sarah Corpse, only because of what Sarah Corpse, I can't say it again. Only because of what Sarah Corpse, what you did. Extreme revulsion dripped from her lips. At this point in the confrontation, Cameron and Vivian only had one more question. At this point in the confrontation, Cameron and Vivian only had more questions. Now wasn't the time to start asking, though. What I did? Sebastian's right hand went to his chest. What I did? EA finally blurted it out. What did you do to my father? Cam and Viv stared at each other in shock. Wait, what? I have cat hair on me. Was it cat hair? Oh, it was something I read. I'm like, what? I don't think anything dropped from my list. What would it? Cat hair, maybe? That's funny. Oh, man. Okay. Where did I go? Oh, yeah. I heard it too. That's funny. Yeah. Extreme revulsion dripped from her lips. Yeah. Revulsion? I'll read it again just in case I messed it up. Only because of what Sora Crop... I said it... Why do I keep doing that? Sora Corpse. Only because of what Sora Corpse... What you did. Extreme revulsion dripped from her lips. At this point in the confrontation, Cameron and Vivian only had more questions. Now wasn't the time to start asking, though. What I did? Sebastian's right hand went to his chest. What I did? EA finally blurted it out. What did you do to my father? What did it sound like I said? Revulsion? I'll have to, when I look through the recording again. Sauerkraut? Cam and Viv stared at each other in shock. Sharp stared EA down as his words came out smooth and precise. Your father. Instead of walking toward her, he started to head to the left. Theodore Lewis. What a brilliant scientist. So full of, what word do kids say these days? Spunk, among other things. Unfortunately, it was that which cost him everything. He saw what Sora Corpse He saw what Sora Corpse was willing to do with what they'd found. EA countered, wishing she had brought a more harmful weapon with her. She could never bring herself to kill anyone. Right now, though, being so close to one of the heads of the company responsible for ruining her family's life, she toyed with reconsidering it. Take me to him right now. Ah, staring up at the ceiling as he leaned against the reinforced stainless steel, semi-cage-like gate, Sebastian bobbed his head side to side. That may be a tad difficult. Tired of his game, she spit out, Stop stalling. Absolutely, I can point you in the right direction. Sebastian pulled out a key card from the left breast pocket of his tailored jacket. As for finding him, well, that's going to be all on you. Cam shouted, Watch out! Smack. Yeah, it's hard with, like, pronouncing things, because when I'm actually recording my podcast how I normally do, I can play it back and then, like, fix it. I can't do that when I'm doing it like this. It's going to be a little bit more tricky doing video podcasts. I'm going to have to figure out how I can make that work out. Okay. EA shrieked as the tranquilizer gun flew out of her hand as two of the guards seized her by the arms. She immediately responded with flailing kicks and trying to wrench herself free. Mr. Sharp's chit-chat had distracted her from watching her back. Yeah, I'm fully editing these out. I'm just going to make it just kind of like my regular, as close as I can that I do for the audio podcast, just to, you know, none of the laughing or anything like that, just pure reading. But it's going to be a little bit more involved versus the audio editing. Viv, no. Cam's fingers slipped away from hers as they were ripped away from each other by Sora Corp's security. "Cameron!" she screamed while being dragged away from him. Infuriated, EA jerked her body to hopefully slip out of the guard's grasp. "Leave those kids alone!" Her left foot swung back, forcefully striking the man's kneecap. As the guard on her left crumbled, the other's face met with her left hook. Unable to break free from her captors, Viv ceased struggling as she whimpered. Unable to break free from her captors, Viv ceased struggling as she whimpered. Please let me go." Getting docked marks by Mr. Richardson had annoyed Cam, but seeing his best friend helpless and crying sparked a rage inside him. "If you hurt her, I swear, I'm going to..." Fuck. Wind left his stomach, no thanks to the back end of the rifle. EA turned to save the others. "Don't even try, Miss Lewis," still standing by the large metal grate. Sebastian Sharp flicked the key card between his fingers. 4 more guards encircled her with their weapons pointed and ready. "What are you going to do with them?" EA couldn't see a way out. "I said it before," Sebastian countered, nonchalant as he touched the key card to the reader beside the massive door. "The same fate as you." On cue, the steel door buzzed. Once unlocked, it took 2 other guards on either side to pull it open. The teenagers were hauled over as EA got prodded with the ends of rifles as if she were a farm animal. The 3 unlikely allied victims passed the threshold whether they wanted to or not. A fascinating sight nearly paralyzed each of them. The source of the weird crackles of electricity had been revealed. Vivid bluish voltaic light snapped and swirled in a 50-foot circular frame. Limbs of lightning burst outward and inward to its core, creating an ethereal yet threatening. Still ensnared at their arms, Kim and Viv managed to gaze over at each other. The fear and awe in their eyes told them they were thinking the same thing. What the heck is that? In between the 2 teenagers, EA went from taking in the amazing glow of the turning border of voltage to what seemed to be just beyond it. Dad was right all along. Flora. On her side of the indescribable entity, rock walls, concrete floors, and guards were the environment. Yet, when she gazed through the window-like thing, she noted ferns, trees, and a pristine lake off in the distance. I think I'll do this for live, and then I'll also do. I think I'm gonna, for the actual recordings of the podcast episodes, I think I'll just read it again for that. I think that's kind of what I did for the other podcasts, anyways. So this is more for entertainment for you guys live, and then when I do the actual podcast episodes individually, I'll record it again privately so that, it's gonna be better. Beautiful, isn't it? 6 feet behind the captive, Sebastian wore a boyish grin. Every time I come down here, it never ceases to amaze me. Is this what I think it is? By now, a woodland scent had reached EA's nose from the other side of what they were viewing. Here at Sora Corps, we simply refer to it as the Rift. Ooh. Mr. Sharp drew in a deep breath of delight. We unearthed this anomaly about 8 years ago. While blasting through all of this thick crust around us in the name of archaeological discovery. Who would have thought one of our explosions would rip a hole in, well, the highly theorized space-time continuum? Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, exactly. We are practice. Yes, you are practice. This whole thing is practice. You gotta be kidding me. Overwhelmed by it all, Cam towed the line of belief. It's actually a real thing? Sebastian nodded. Sure is, kid. As he paced back and forth, he continued. The other thing we didn't expect, he paused for dramatic effect, was how far back into the past it would take us. Though the rift still made her nervous, he stepped toward it. My father, he told me all about this. He told you about this classified information. With his hands in his pant pockets, Sebastian sighed with disappointment. All the more reason to have banished him those 5 years ago. EA's heart dropped. Banished? Small steps turned her around to face the despicable man. How could you? Oh, poor Theo. He simply knew too much and tried to stop greatness. Sebastian continued in a monotonous tone. We gave him one last shot on a little experiment, and it backfired. Someone died. Police got involved. We had to clean up the whole thing. Should have known it was a bad idea in the first place, but oh well. It's too bad we couldn't use a rift to go back to that moment and stop it all from happening. Fury engulfed EA's stare, removing all care about the guards as she marched forward. I'm gonna kill you. Throw them in, Mr. Sharp ordered with the raised index finger swirling around in a circle. All of them. What? Vivian's feet shot to life as the guards worked their way toward the window-like rift. You can't! No! All of Cameron's strength couldn't break the security guard's grasp. Take your hands off me! Each of the 4 guards that separated Emily Ann from Sebastian took one of her limbs. As she yelled and screamed, she couldn't accept the fact that her whole plan had As she yelled and screamed, she couldn't accept the fact that her whole plan had fallen apart so quickly. All her research, acquiring equipment in the vehicle, all for nothing. A hard heave sent Cam flying up and over the rim of the surging space-time electricity. Next in line, Viv's last squirm failed to thwart her captors. Another toss. Another one through. Defenseless, EA wished she could close her ears as the insidious crackling noise grew louder. Not only would she become a victim of them, but she had also sent 2 young people into the rift's otherworldly clutches. One more thing before you go, Sebastian strolled over, calm and collected. Watch out for the bugs. Lyndon is Carm, yes. Oh, Carm, you're in here. You're in here another one? Oh, I'm confused. Oh, it's easy for I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know how YouTube Live works, but we're figuring it out. Let me get a drink. Oh, that was the last part of that chapter. Okay. Me too. Okay. So, I think that's all I can do tonight. I'm pretty tired. That we're at chapter 7 now. So we read 6 chapters. That's nice. This is really interesting. Like, I think I'm gonna try to record the chapters on my own privately, so that is nice. It did kind of end, well, yeah, it did. Well, yeah. It's always gonna, I think each chapter is probably gonna be like that, where there's like a huge cliffhanger. Watch out for the bugs. Yeah, so, yeah, this next chapter is when they get into, when they're actually through the rift. So, I think that's a good cliffhanger to stop on, you know, get back for next time. So, I'm going to record on video properly without an audience, a live audience, so I can take my time with it and make it perfect and pretty. I'm going to read through the chapters that we read just now, and then I'll post them. So if anybody missed anything or wants to read it all the way through to listen to it without distractions like this for when I'm on live, kind of what I did with one of my audio podcasts is I would read the books live, but then I would record them, you know, on my audio podcast. So this is my first time getting into the video podcasts on YouTube. Like, YouTube has a podcast feature, so yeah, so just definitely, you know, I'm learning, I'm getting it figured out. So hopefully as I continue, just like anything, I'll get the hang of it and it'll get better and better. So I'm just gonna, when I get them finished, I'll post the chapters that we've read on my podcast playlist, or my YouTube podcast. Yeah, ironing out the bugs. ironic how he said, watch out for the bugs. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Yeah, so, and I'm really grateful that you guys are here. You know, it's nice to have people that I'm familiar with from my community, so it feels more comfortable and not as nerve-wracking. So thank you for being here and supporting me here. Thank you guys. All right, so that's what I'll do, and then the next time I'll read it live. I think that's what I'll do from now on, is I'll just go read it live. Oh, thank you, Seb. And then I'll record them, you know, so this will be like a special event where people can like watch it live and listen to the story live. And then for those who either miss it or, you know, whatnot, they can listen to it on the video podcast when I post them. So yeah, I think that's a good plan. And of course, I do have the link for the book. If you would like to purchase it yourself, it would be really awesome to help support Derek Borne as well, who's the author, and he's a part of our community. And yeah, so the link is in there, and the link is because any links that I make from I added it. The link is for my storefront. So if you go to that Amazon link in the information about on this live, it'll take you to my Amazon storefront. It's like my Amazon influencer partnership website, like storefront. And so any purchases that you make, you know, will be supporting him, and then it also helps me with my Amazon storefront page as well. So yeah, it might be kind of awesome to read along with your narration. Yeah, it would be, and you can see all the words that I miss. It makes a lot of sense because I deal with chronic dry eyes, and both my eyes are astigmatisms. But I also, from my DNA results that I had, it does mention I have high, I'm a carrier of dyslexia, which I don't think that I don't have true dyslexia, but sometimes I do mix up words, and maybe that's like a minor version of it. It kind of makes sense now because I've always noticed that, and I didn't ever think it was like a form of dyslexia, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, so it wasn't sauerkraut, no. Like dinosaur corpse, dinosaur, because I always like say sora, so it's like, here we go, this is the word, this is the second book, so it's sora corpse, like dinosaur corpse. I have to trick my brain to that. Yeah, I can't wear contacts. I would prefer to wear contacts, but yeah, I have chronic dry eyes that unless they have like contacts that like keep the moisture in my eyes. That would actually be nice if that was a thing or possible. Maybe it is. I haven't seen anything recently. But yeah, I can't. Course. Corpse or course? That is a thing. It's technically, when it's spelled like this, it's actually cores, like core, like the Marine Corps. But if it's meant to be corporation, then it would be corpse. So that's actually that's a good question because it depends on how they're looking at it. The English language, it's fun, isn't it? So I don't know exactly how Derek is meaning that. I would assume like corporation, so it would be corpse, like not corpse, but like corp. But yeah, if it like Corps is like the Marine Corps, like a group company, like a military typically. So yeah, I was originally reading it as Corps, but then I'm like, maybe it's like corporation, so it should be corp. I don't know. But we'll figure that out as we go. All right, so I'll go ahead and end this, and yeah, Corps blimey. Yeah, so thank you guys for hanging out with me. I think it's like multiple teams like Corps. Okay, so Corps, yeah. I don't know. I'll have to look it up just to see. It really depends on like the intention that it's used for, but yeah, we'll find out. When I do my actual recording, I'll pronounce things. I'll take the time because I'll be able to hear myself and fix any pronunciations. Oh man, I'm just so tired. I didn't find it on TikTok. On TikTok? Of course it is, Watson. What did you not find on TikTok? anyways, yeah, you said you were going live in both. Oh, I was, and then I realized I couldn't go live in TikTok just because I was needing my phone as well. So, all right, so yeah, so I'm pretty tired, and I do need to make sure I get to sleep early tonight because I do have a full day tomorrow. So I'm gonna try to record the 6 chapters that we just read and then post them on my YouTube. So I'm gonna do that, and then by that time I'm probably gonna go to sleep afterwards. So no flying tonight, unfortunately. I'm gonna get this sorted, and because I'd like to get through this book, quicker than I've gotten through anything else. So I'll stick with that plan, and yeah. Good night. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and supporting me. Again, make sure you subscribe to Derek Borne's YouTube as well. I have his name linked in the information on this live. And go ahead and order his books if you would like to read along with me on the future chapters. And I have both of his books too, so we'll be reading through both of the books as well. Nighty night. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys soon.